Have you ever been playing a game before, and you find a new item in the game, and you pop that sucker in your inventory, and the game notifies you by putting a little green dot or whatever colored dot next to it, or just by explicitly saying, new item? You've most likely ran into this in most games, but what is that even called? Does it have a certain name that game developers gave it? I tried searching it up, but I didn't even really know what to search up. I did see new item indicator in a Reddit post, so I'm just going to use that for the sake of this video. But if anyone knows if there's an actual official term for it, let me know in the comments. I wanted to talk about these indicators in games and what I really like about them and what really pisses me off about them, so let's just jump right into it. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I'm a very visually organized person. I gotta have everything clean, whether it be my room, my phone, well, especially my phone. I can't have any notification bubbles up on the phone. Like, there's an email, I gotta make sure to go through and mark them as read or delete them. I gotta keep that shit neat and tidy. I've seen some people have their email box at like 999, and I'm like, that really pissed me off. I bet you're the same type of person that has a fucking cluttered desktop with just icons everywhere. I'm sorry. It just really irks me. And it really irks me when I see a little green dot or whatever new item indicator the game has in my game that I'm trying to play. Now, it might be nice to manage your inventory by knowing which items are new if you're playing like an RPG or a looter shooter where you're picking up a shit ton of items. But if you're picking up a shit ton of items, you're gonna have a fuck ton of new item indicators to go through. And that's what I wanted to talk about, is how these games manage their item notifiers. Sometimes a quick glance gets rid of the indicator, sometimes it's a hover with the mouse, or the absolute worst, where you have to click on each individual item, which brings you to another menu. So bad. It can be very satisfying to go through your menus and mark off each notified item, but not if it's going to be a real pain in the ass to do that. But sometimes I painstakingly spend my time just to notify everything. But come on, just at least, I'm fine with the glance at it or just hovering over it, but a mark all as read would be an amazing feature in some games. Is that hard for game developers to do? I don't know. I know some shit with accessibility is really hard, like messing with the UI after it's already completed. In the grand scheme of things though, it's a pretty minor problem with games, and I'm not making this video to be like, fuck you developers, get your shit together. No, not at all. It's just something I've always noticed while playing games. I haven't seen many other people talk about it before, and I just wanted to make a video expressing my thoughts on this subject. So anyways, just make a game that's easy to mark that you've seen a new item. So let's go through some games that have had some bad and good new item indicators. In the Outer Worlds, when you get a new item, the new item indicator is pretty small and very unnoticeable. But just to get rid of it, you just gotta hover over it with your mouse and it's gone. And this is one of the best ways you can do it. With the codex entries, you'll have to navigate through some other menus and click on each one, which isn't the worst. It's a little more tedious than the items, but overall, the Outer Worlds has a pretty good new item indicator with small and easy to get rid of indicators. Doom 2016 has a pretty similar one to the Outer Worlds, easy with items and a little bit more tedious with the codex entries. With the codex entries in Doom, there's quite a few of them, so you have to scroll a lot and mark each one by hovering over with your mouse, which can be a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it's not the worst to manage. Now to one that is the worst to manage. The game that pulled me into gacha hell, Fate Grand Order, and their new item indicator is bad. When you pull a new servant or craft essence, a giant text looms over it that says new, and depending on which menu you're in, it can be a pain in the ass to get rid of. If you're in the Spirit Origin list, you can tap it and it brings you to a menu, and then you tap to go back and it gets rid of it. But if you're in any other menu, you're gonna have to hold on to it for a few seconds and then lift off and then go into the menu and then go back, and you're going to be pulling many servants and many craft essence, just new items all the time, and just going through all these and getting rid of them all is just a huge pain in the ass and a huge waste of time. Faco is really bad at this, and just having a mark all as red button would be so much better.
But I love you, Faco. I need all those balls. I need new servants. I want the girls. I want the fake girls. Give me that shit.
Call of Duty Cold War is the first new COD game I bought since Black Ops 3, and some people loved Cold War and some people hated it. They hated it for its multiplayer, single player, the zombies, but I pretty much liked most of it. What I didn't like was its new item indicator. The new item indicator is just a small green dot, and it's not as flashy as some of the other COD games, but does it ever piss me off when I see it? You have to navigate a million goddamn menus just to get rid of it, and doing that on PC is just a pain in the ass. I'm just scrolling through and I can't find it. It's a mess. Cold War indicators, very bad. Now with some games, I do find it satisfying to get rid of all the new item indicators, and that's a good part of it. But with Overwatch, when I see a new item notification, I'm super happy. Because, you know what that means? Loot box, baby! That was crazy. It usually means there's a loot box, or at least an item you got from a loot box that you want to look at. And with Overwatch, there's tons of customability and all that shit you can personalize with your characters, your mains, whatever, voice lines, all that shit, and especially the skins. And I love going through all that and seeing what's new and marking it off, and definitely Overwatch has it good and very easy to manage and fun to manage, in my opinion. Now, with Peach Beach Splash, or any Senran Kagura game, it would most likely be someone's guilty pleasure, but for me, I just fucking love this game. It's not a guilty pleasure, this game is just so amazing. It also has an amazing new item indicator. In Peach Beach Splash, you open up a lot of card packs that give you new skills and weapons and all sorts of stuff. And there's over 800 cards, which means a lot of new item indicators, but you would barely notice them because they only show up in one specific menu, and all you have to do is just hover over them and they disappear. So easy to manage and barely noticeable. This one does it absolutely perfect for a perfect game. Now The Witcher 3 is a game I definitely have to play more of, and I've heard from so many people it's so fantastic. And you know what else is fantastic about it? Well, I don't know. The new item indicator. Like all the previous ones, it's a pretty small indicator and is very easy to get rid of just by hovering over it. And also CD Projekt Red's other game, Cyberpunk 2077, that came out pretty recently. Despite its glitches and bugs, it has a very similar one to The Witcher where you just hover over it, and both of them, very good. CD Projekt Red knows what they're doing. At least not at release, but they know how to fix a game after. When I come and think about it, I'd never compare any of these games I've talked about in a list on anything else, but they all share the same common trait of a new item indicator. Now I know this is quite the minor problem when talking about games, or you might feel the exact same way as me, but I want to say thanks for listening to me ramble on about new item indicators, which kind of sounds like a dumb subject, but hey, I wanted to talk about it and I had fun making this video and writing it. I know there's many other and more important accessibility options in games, and if you have thoughts on problems you have with games like this, or even share the same thoughts as me as in this video, please leave them in the comments. Peace.